It's hard to believe that 20% of this $2.5 million hypercar is 3D printed. Divergent is a digital manufacturing company that's developed an end-to-end production system, combining AI-driven design, 3D printing, and robotic assembly. I spoke with CEO and co-founder Lukas Czinger at Czinger headquarters in Torrance, California, where Divergent's technology is applied in automotive production. Before the interview, there's one thing I want to do: get behind the wheel. And this isn't just any car. This is the Czinger 21C hypercar.
First things first, door handle button right under here. So you have a 750 horsepower V8 in the back and then 500 horsepower electric motors in the front. So all put together, working together, 1250.
Wow.
1.9 second to 60. So
wow.
Really quick.
Okay. After a quick walkthrough of how to drive a car like this, it was time for me to see what it could actually do. Felt like driving a rocket. Very fast, very powerful. I'm sold. I think I'm gonna have to purchase one when I have $3 million to spare. 0 to 60 in just 1.9 seconds. And this car isn't just about speed. It's a glimpse of how vehicles are being built differently from the ground up. The same digital manufacturing behind this hypercar now spans everything from supercars to national defense, redefining how modern engineering actually gets done. You launched in 2014 with the idea, not a very simple one, that you could 3D print cars. It's now evolved to be this entire end-to-end digital process. Tell us exactly what it is that you're doing right now at Divergent.
Divergent was founded, as you said, to build a new way of engineering and manufacturing, full stop. Our mission for 10 years has been to build the 21st century industrial base. It's a family company. My father had that initial vision. I studied engineering, went into finance, joined him from nearly the very beginning. And now we've built to a business that's over 500 people, is working to supply the biggest OEMs in the world, from McLaren to Bugatti to Porsche Group, all the way into the US defense environment, where we have over 13 primes as customers and over 35 active programs.
Now, practically speaking, you are using 3D printing in a really unique way. I mean, I think we heard about this technology years ago, the idea you could 3D print a gun, but I feel like we haven't heard a lot about it since then. And yet that's exactly what you're doing here with car parts, with missiles.
So what we saw, as you said, was a bubble. There was excitement about 3D printing maybe a decade ago, and then it lacked its follow through. And the reason it did was it was too slow and too expensive, and there wasn't a company that stitched together the full environment. How do you design for additive? How do you print the part? How do you post-process the part? How do you assemble it to ultimately get a product like an airframe that's better, faster, cheaper? So that's why it didn't take off as big as we had hoped, or the industry had hoped. Divergent then came in and it actually solved each one of those layers of the vertical stack.
Divergent has positioned itself as an end-to-end partner for large manufacturers, helping them rapidly design and produce complex parts. So a company can say, hey, I want this piece, and give kind of vague guidelines for what they want?
Bounding volume, range, payload, hard points, build that input file, we'll engineer it off those inputs. And compared to a traditional process, it might take 2 years to get to a critical design review. We've done that in under 4 weeks now.
Wow.
Full critical design review to first flight, we've gone within 8 weeks. And when we look at the system, that's just the time to flight. Now you look at the time to iterate. You learn something in that flight, how quickly can you update that product? Within hours. Quite literally, you can print a new unit the very next day and get back in the air. So your competition process to a fully production ready part or assembly massively reduces. And then once you're doing the full on production, the run of say 5,000 of these assemblies, the per unit cost is more attractive than the legacy cast systems, and the performance level is enhanced, meaning we're usually saving 30% of mass, and on fuel volume, we're increasing fuel volume by similar 30 to 40% typically. So you truly have a product that is higher performing, it's cheaper per unit, you got into the market in a fraction of the time, a month, 2 months instead of 2 years, and then you're able to scale. One of our printers can do about 400 of your typical munition structures per year. You get 100 of those, you're doing 40,000 munitions per annum. That can change the arc of US competition in war.
This month, actually, you've had Pete Hegseth, who stopped by, and he's talked about what you're doing as sort of part of his arsenal of freedom. He talked about some of the deliverables he wants to see from you guys, 3D printed missiles, parts for helicopters. What role do you think Divergent plays in the US's Department of War effort?
We play a very large role in our scaled effects. So when you talk about deterring war, peace through strength, the agenda of Mr. Hegseth, you need to show that you have a manufacturing capability to make thousands of units. And that's where Divergent comes in, because we can scale munitions, for example, we can scale sustainment parts, and we can change the outcomes of a wartime scenario. So we're filling what has been largely an offshore infrastructure base into the US. We're bringing tens of factories, ideally over the next decade, and ideally much quicker than that over the next 2 years, because we know there is conflict rising. We know that we need to show true deterrence through scale. So building these factories, in a certain sense, the factory is the weapon as well, because just having the capacity to produce is a deterrence.
You know, there's this great quote we were discussing, that people overestimate the impact of technology in the short term and yet underestimate it in the long term. Where do you see Divergent in 5 years? If you were writing a headline, where do you see it in 10 years?
In 5 years, we're going to have a dozen plus facilities across the US that are manufacturing at high rate. I believe we'll be known as the go-to manufacturer across industry, but with a defense focus. We'll have scaled so many munition platforms, so many space platforms, so many land platforms, so many sea platforms for the US military, that the company will be the leading manufacturing company in that space. That's my belief. Over 10 years, you're gonna see a cost down, $1 per pound output of the structures like the structure behind us that Divergent engineers and makes, where we're going to be able to address affordable products. Mass market auto, you're going to see this technology get into your city car or your average pickup truck. That's very exciting, because that unlocks better products for the masses.